We're here in the Mobile-Tensaw Delta during flood time. This is a historic flood. This is the highest the river has been since 1990, quarter century. About 57 feet above at Claiborne Dam. 42 feet is flood stage, so this is way above flood stage. You know, this is what used to happen every year in the Delta. It would get totally inundated like this. All the rivers of the Delta are one in this section up in the middle of the Delta. The Delta is 13 miles wide, and it's just the 13-mile wide flowing piece of water. We're here in Jessamine Bayou. And normally this is a creek about 10 feet wide with muddy banks, and all the trees you see around are normally growing in soil and dry ground instead of, standing water. But what happens is when it gets above flood stage, the river overwhelms the dams, both on the Tom Bigby and over here on the Alabama. So this is actually like a giant shot of fertilizer for the whole system. All the waters from up around Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, the Black Warrior River, the Cahaba, all their floodplain, all that energy of all the plants growing in those things and all the animals dying and everything, when these big floods come, all that energy gets picked up and carried downstream. So the whole system is getting reworked. These huge mats of vegetation are getting pulled up off the bottom and they're drifting downstream, and I've been seeing those all day long, just these big, thick 6 to 8 inch duff layers, leaves that have all fallen off the trees. Every leaf, everything that's fallen in this river valley all the way up to the Birmingham area runs downstream every year, gets washed downstream, and all that energy turns into just this biological dynamo. Fish are born around in February, right when these floods start getting down there and all this energy is released. And it's just this amazing cycle, and it's happening right here, right now. These floods between now and March are the engine that fuels the northern Gulf of Mexico. Really fascinating, neat to see it at work. And this flood, you need to think in terms of the Amazon or the Nile, these giant river systems that flood annually. And that's what this does. We're in the rainiest part of the country down here in Alabama. So we have all this rain that comes down, carrying all this biological energy, pushing it all downstream. Really, really fascinating, really cool to see. This is the biggest flood in 25 years on this river since 1990. It is one of the biggest floods ever recorded on the Alabama River since the dam went in 1971. It's one of the top 5 now. We'll have to see where the gauge finally settles out. This morning it was about 54 feet, 56 feet, somewhere in there. So this is a really extraordinary event to witness, and it's just beautiful. It's fun to be out here. It's one of my favorite times of the Delta, these flood times.